Good evening, everyone. This is Minding My Business, and I'm Brother Laos. And I want to say again, thank you for tuning in to my channel. And as you come in, could you please give this video a thumbs up? Could you please subscribe? And could you please leave a comment and share this video? And our topic today is going to be very brief, and it's just kind of dealing with this whole anathema that young black people in this nation have against marriage. I'm here to let you know that we, as the older generation, we need to strongly encourage our the younger people that they need to start holding marriage in high esteem that it is. We already know that, especially in the black community, what the numbers were in the 1960s and what they are today. We know that has been brought about, that attitude has been brought about by many things. I would have to say, because I was born in the mid 60s, and I came in the tail end of the 1960s and mostly 70s, that I remember, 80s. I could see the attitude as much as I could remember as a young child, seeing some of the crazy stuff that I did growing up. A change in marriage when I think I stated this before, when me and my family, when we moved to the projects in the mid 1970s, and for the first time I started hearing the word divorce. I didn't know what the word divorce mean, but I started hearing a lot of my childhood friends when we would be playing, and I would say, "Where's your mama?" or "Where's your daddy?" And they would say they're divorced, and I'm like, "What does that mean?" And like they're not married anymore, because the only thing I could ever remember is either people were married or they were boyfriend and girlfriend. But as time went on, you start hearing more and more that the D word, I would call it, and it just became more and more common. And also the fact that you still had the free love hippie movement that was still kind of in play in the 1970s up until a certain point, because you think about the disco era, right? I remember the disco era. The reason I remember the disco era is because, believe it or not, it was around 1977 when disco was at its height. My dad, he decided that he wanted to. We would on a weekend, my family, to make ends meet, they would throw these house parties where people could come and play cards and dance, listen to music, you know, get alcohol. I don't think my parents allowed nobody to do drugs. I don't never remember seeing that. I don't think they shot up. I don't think I remember. They might have did it in the bathroom or something, but I don't remember it. But it was like almost every weekend type thing, and it kept our family afloat. Unfortunately, that uh, they had to sink to such means to make a life bearable in the 1970s because of the terrible economy. But I think my dad felt that, hey, I can take it to the next level, and he opened up a discotheque in a little small southern city. And the name of the club was called the Spider-Man Club. I remember him taking us down there. We only went down there one time, and I remember going inside. It was down in this part of Winston Salem where a lot of the pool halls and stuff was still. That area now is not the same no more, but back then it was pool halls, and it was a real kind of seedy area of town. And I remember going into the club and seeing the disco ball and the DJ staying with the turntables and all that, and the bar and all that. I don't know eventually what happened, because I think my dad had a partner that he went in with on that, and I don't think it panned out the way that he wanted. But I do remember that, and like I said, it was like the moorings that even though black men and black women had their issues, they had their problems, they had domestic violence issues, which I told you that I grew up in a house of domestic violence, which back at that time when I was growing up, that was not extraordinary. It wasn't. It wasn't extraordinary back then in the black community for a lot of the fathers, grandfathers, and all those to be alcoholics, or even some that were on drugs, dealing with the pressures of trying to make a living to keep your family afloat. Not that it was right, it wasn't right, but even still then, and even all the other things that they did, they still had a desire to want to get married. Now, this generation, they can't say that they was the first generation that have drug problems or alcohol problems or domestic violence problems. But one thing that is different about them than us is they feel that marriage is not something that you're going to throw into that mix. And I understand you definitely will not want to know that you have a drug problem, an alcohol problem, a domestic violence problem, and willingly, enter into holy matrimony with somebody. But the difference that I would see in my time period of when, the desire for marriage is that people might have thought when we enter into the marriage, maybe these things will change and maybe we'll change for each other, which we know a lot of that, but just the desire to give it a try, that's not in this generation. And all I'm saying is we just hoping that they will even get the desire to even think about entering into this. And yeah, straighten out all the other issues in your individual life if you can before you enter into this holy matrimony. But I'm saying at least get the desire, because if not, what we're going to start seeing is and in some places you probably are seeing this, where you got these older black couples that got married late, and a woman cannot have children. And now you see black couples, married couples, older, adopting white children, adopting Korean children. And I'm like, what madness is this? Or some of these black dudes that get married to white women, or a black woman to get married to white men who themselves have children. Maybe they came out of a marriage and they got children, and so they're marrying this black man or this black woman, and then now the black man is maybe trying to raise white children that came with his spouse, or vice versa. You got the black woman trying to raise white children that the white man brought on. In fact, if you look at the rapper Eve former rapper, because she don't rap anymore, but she got married to this Scottish. I don't know if he was a billionaire, a millionaire, and of course she didn't have any kids, and he had kids. So basically, what she did once she married him is she took on the role of the mother to these rich white Scottish children that she's raising, that she calls her children and all these things. And I think that's just very weird that if you're going through that dynamic, why would you think that while you was at least considerably young that you would venture into holy matrimony with somebody of your own kind and give it a try? And we know it, that it's still happening. Young people are getting married, but I'm saying not at the clip that it was when I was growing up or before I was growing up, because they're saying this war, there's environmental degradation, there's the food supply is poisoned, and the disease and different things is taking people out. But all I got to say is remember slavery. No conditions that we as black people have been in this country will ever be able to replicate what our ancestors went through in slavery. I don't care what you say. It'll never be a time in my lifetime that I will ever equate anything that I have gone through what my ancestors went through when they were captured on the continent, when they were shipped across the waters, when they got to these different plantations and places, and what they had to go through, that even with that, they still had a desire to get married, even though they knew that one day, just like on the book movie Roots, that the master would come in and say, I know I said I wouldn't break their family up, but I'm going to do it. There'll never be a time. So even though we see this stuff that's going on with Donald Trump, we see this stuff going on with what's going on in Iran. We see this stuff that's going on with the economy. I'm here to tell you that marriage is still a good institution to invest your time in. I'm here to tell you I am so glad that me and my wife were able to make it through and make it into the times that we are now in, on the downswing, at least in the sense of, we have, raised our children. We contributed to the economy of this, the nation, because a nation that lacks a good family structure, there's a lot of economic instability. Marriage, if you want to have a good marriage, you want to have a good family, might not start off this way, but over time, marriage encourages financial stability, or it ain't gonna fail. It ain't gonna work. It will fail. It will fail. It will make you become learn financial stability, because if not, you lose your children to the state because you ain't feeding them. You ain't giving them a nice, at least a decent place to stay, at least here in America. I can't say in other countries what's going on, but I'm saying here, at least for right now, it will encourage you. If it's a good marriage, it will also not encourage some of this stuff that you see with the Epstein files, where these young girls, and you got to know it had to be something wrong with the type of structured family that they were in, that they could get so easily scooped up and, you know, uh, the being able to be pulled into that system. You got to know that family structure could not have been there, because if it hadn't had, the mother or the father wouldn't have allowed that kind of stuff. Wouldn't allow that kind of stuff. Back in my day, especially when I was growing up, I ain't saying that it was certain crazy things that probably was not going on, but I'm saying just like wholesale, some of this stuff where you seeing black girls and black women being just snatched off the street like that. Nah, you wouldn't have seen that happening, you know. And I say there was not no domestic violence, and I'm not saying that it was probably sometimes that maybe a black woman might have ran away from her spouse because the violence was so bad and just go off the radar. But I'm saying that's different than these single parent homes where the children don't have a mother and a father there to be their guardians and to try to guide them along the way. So I'm giving you a bit of my, what I have seen over the years. Is very situation, especially for our black children, is very unstable. It really is, especially when you look at, like I said, the delinquency. Uh, when you see these world star hip hop type sites where you have all these feral children or young adults just out here just doing some kind of mayhem, and you wonder where is their mother and father. Well, without marriage, you're not gonna get that, and that's why, and I could kind of see some of that when I was growing up in some of these homes where there was divorce, where the mother would be gone, and some of our friends that, when their mother, while their mother was gone, they would be getting into all kinds of stuff. Not that we wasn't getting into some stuff too, with our parents there. So I'm not sitting trying to say that we was just angels. We was, but I'm saying we always knew we got to look over our shoulder, because we got our parents is gonna, could swoop down, but they didn't have that roadblock there. And so now that, single parenthood is pretty much the theme, there is no roadblocks. This is why you see the great upheaval in our communities when it comes to stuff that's going on in the schools, stuff that's going on in the neighborhoods, stuff that's going on in the organized crime that's going on. Is and it's just tearing and demolishing any kind of good that we push forward. It's taking it 5 steps back, because marriage is the building block of a strong people and a strong nation. So Black America, please, please, young Black America, please remember that you are the leaders right now, and you got to get this thing right when it comes to marriage. You got to, and I'm not telling you just to go out and just get married just for the sake of getting married. Make sure the person that you get married, and make sure you yourself are marriage material. And if you wasn't raised in a two-parent home, or was not raised in at least a home where maybe if the mother was the only person there, that they might have not still told you this is not the way you want to be. I know that I don't have a man, or maybe you have men that might be raising black children by themselves. You don't want to be trying to raise yourself without a wife. Still promote it. We promoting it, and we are not promoting the caricatures of marriage that we see in sports figures, in entertainment. We're not promoting that. We're not promoting the stereotypes that we see on TV. We're not promoting that. We're promoting healthy relationships, at least the desire to. And so that is what I wanted to put out today. I wanted to put out because I think war is gonna be here. Economic challenges are gonna be here. But it's better for you as us as black people to face it with and I'm not talking about the same sex thing. That's not it. That's not no, we're not that is not being promoted here because it is not. It's actually something that weakens us. And if anything, I have seen being promoted amongst us instead of heterosexual is I've been seeing, especially when again it comes to these celebrity couples, we're seeing this stuff promoted, and it is not. It's not good. We need to treat it as such. We do not need to give any accreditation to that. But what we do need to do is to promote chastity. We need to promote consistency in character so that people are not worried that if they get married to somebody that the way they've been maybe when they was dating, now that's gonna go out the window. And so we promoting good behavior even before you get married in your life as a young man or as a young woman. And we're saying that marriage is an honorable institution. And after over 30 years of being married, I am one of its strongest proponents of it. And I'm living proof that it can be a successful thing for you and your significant other. So with that, I'm going to end the video, and again, thank you for tuning in to Minding My Business. And also, I want you to tune in to a new channel that I have created called The Fire in the Vision with my two AI characters, the Watcher and the Flame. They started out as a podcast on the big channel, Contending for the Faith, and we decided to split them off. Just like with this channel, we decided, hey, this is just gonna be a channel where we ain't gonna, we're gonna just try to concentrate on life subject things. And so we want you to please subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the Spotify podcast, The Fire and the Vision also. And also remember my ministry channel, Contending for the Faith, also if you haven't subscribed to that. And with that, I'll say good day.